Have you ever heard the sound of freedom?
Welcome to another 5-Minute Flip.
What is up, Flip-Eponymai? Welcome to your 5-Minute Flip for July the 1st, 2025. Sorry about my little delay. My wife had vocal cord surgery a couple weeks ago. She is doing well, but she was not able to talk for 8 days, and she's just now kind of feeling up to full health. So it's been a little bit of an adventure at the house for a little while and trying to balance and juggle everything. But for your 5-minute flip today, I wanted to talk about consistency. And I have kind of two primary spaces of ministry. One is as a pastor at my church plant. We're a small church. Everybody knows everybody. 3 years old as a church plant. And then with Beyond the Battle groups. So we do our 7-week groups that you pay for to join, and we require as part of that, you pay the money, you covenant that you'll be there all 7 weeks to make sure that a high level of trust is built amongst the people attending, and that you get all of the material and those sorts of things. With Beyond the Battle 7-week groups, when they're done, there's a free invitation into our alumni community, and our alumni community is a continuation of the Beyond the Battle material, its support, its encouragement, discipleship, centered on our identity in Christ, centered on recovering, overcoming pornography, other forms of unwanted sexual behavior. But really, it's a group that hits every level of discipleship is what I have experienced and what other guys have experienced when it comes to our identity, our insecurity, our marriages, our singleness, just our mental health, our thought life, all the things. So with those two contexts in place, I just want to talk briefly, and I want to keep this pretty simple, on consistency and attendance. And so one thing that pains me as a pastor, of my church and pastor shepherd, sort of the Beyond the Battle community, is I see that the people that attend regularly, weekly, are the people that get the most out of the church experience and the Beyond the Battle experience. The ones that attend consistently, weekly, regularly are the ones who are most connected, who are growing, who are finding in the Beyond the Battle context the most freedom from these addictions. And so I want to look at on the church side, maybe some of the reasons that we don't commit weekly to going to church. I think when I was a kid, and certainly before that, it was a much more normal part of culture that you went to church. And there's a good and a bad to that. But the good, as far as it being such a standardized cultural, phenomenon. But the good of it is when you go to church every week, you get connected relationally with people. Now, this brings up a bigger question about church and I think what it's turned into in our culture. And I think I'm just going to be kind of candid here. I'll just say this. It is much harder to experience what I'm about to say in a large church. And I will say, I think large churches have created and perpetuated the problem of what I'm about to talk about, where in our culture, church on Sunday for many has become going to a show. So you go to a show as a spectator, and I hear people use this language. It's not always maybe Brad to use this type of metaphor, but people talk about church as a place to fill up. Like I go in and I fill up, I get filled up, and then I go into my week. Well, if you think about it that way, then you only need to stop at the gas station when you're empty. And so let's say you haven't made a lot of trips. You don't go to the gas station just because you've made a commitment to going. And so when it's up to us to decide when we go to church to get filled up, then we're going to go less. And with that idea of going to church to get filled up, I think it also brings up the problem, and it is a problem, where church has become a movie theater experience. And we, as the American church, and globally too, there's certainly mega churches around the world, but all I know really is firsthand is my culture, that the larger the church, the more bells and whistles. Let's just be honest. The more bells and whistles in the service, the more stage effects, the more videos, the more entertaining it's meant to be for our brains. The kids' ministry is going to have more bells and whistles, all these sorts of things. And so we end up being drawn to the bells and whistles. And then what I'm just going to say what happens. And certainly it doesn't happen to 100% of the people every time, but it absolutely happens where church becomes about the experience in the same way, let's say, like I said, going to a movie would be. But I think maybe a better example than going to a movie, because with I use this example and it fits. But you go to a movie, you see the show on the screen with a bunch of people you don't know, and then you leave, and then you kind of make your assessment about if the movie was good or not, if it entertained you or not, if it made you laugh, if you enjoyed it. You might look at the movie of, did I learn anything from the movie? Did it change me? Did it move me? Did it inspire me? How were the seats? How was the popcorn? How were the bathrooms? And we just sort of treat church like it's a movie or a restaurant that we're going to leave a Yelp review for, and then we go on our way. But I was thinking more about, a Christian concert. If you went to a worship concert, let's say a popular worship band's come through your town, and you go to the arena, you're going to that concert to get filled up, right? That's the kind of that idea. I'm going to go and get filled up. But that is not church. You would not go to the same Christian concert, no matter who it was, every single week, right? That just wouldn't make any sense, because there's no reason to go to the same Christian concert every single week. Maybe you would. Maybe you just say, that's my favorite band, I'd go every single week. Okay, then is that church, right? Is that experience church? And clearly it's not. But what we've done is we've made the Sunday morning experience that, where it's more like going to see our favorite band or our favorite worship band. It's to get an experience, to judge the experience if it was good or bad, to assess what did I get out of it. It's actually a very selfish motivation. What did I get out of this? Did this speak to me? Was this entertaining for me? And I want us to shift that paradigm of why we would go to church. So in my church context, we have some folks that are really, really consistent, and then we have some folks that aren't. And it's a mixed reason for why. For some, they do a lot of traveling. For some, I think they just don't have the mindset that church is a priority. I think for some, it's the mindset that I'm just going to go when I need to. I'm going to go when I need to get filled up. This is sort of my private individual thing. And they kind of treat it like you would the megachurch, right? You're at the megachurch. You're just there to sit in the back and then head out. And that's it. You're not there to interact with people. Our church setting, it's harder not to interact with people because it's small. That's what I love about it. And so another reason some folks in our community aren't there every week is because of obstacles in their life. And so if you lose your job, if your car breaks down, if you're in a poverty situation, you don't have the net underneath you to catch you. You don't have the resources, and then excuse me, all of life can get fully derailed. You can become homeless, and then people just disappear from church, and that makes it really challenging. So and sometimes there's a shame cycle in that too. Something gets derailed, and then the thought is, I can't go to church because there's like a brokenness of mental health, of mindset, of that stability being gone, where the coping mechanism just becomes isolation. I think that would apply to people of many different demographics. But where my encouragement is when you decide, whether it's a Beyond the Battle group, a recovery type of group, whether it's some other type of midweek connection like a small group or some other ministry that you're trying to experience, I know I need this help, I know I need this in my life, or if it's a Sunday morning church experience, that it is imperative that you make the commitment to be there every single week, because when you're there every single week is when you realize and experience where the fruit actually comes from. That the consistent attendance is what builds strong relationships. Strong relationships are what bring us healing. Strong relationships are what make us feel a sense of belonging, so that when we show up, you might say, well, I don't feel comfortable when I'm there. Well, do you go every single week? Like, are you there enough that people get to know you, and when you're gone, they miss you, and when you're back, they say, hey, I'm so glad you're here. And if you're in a really big church, that's probably not happening, right? That's probably not happening at all. But we have to make the commitment as the attender to say, I'm going to be there every week, even when it's inconvenient. And when we do that, the comfort zone forms, that it becomes our place, and there's people there that are expecting us, and then we can get in on the action and be one and pivot from one just receiving to one who's also giving, and can then create that space for others to be a place where they are known, where relationships are being built, where we are then pouring into them. And then we have that sense of purpose, that not only do we have a comfort zone there and a safe place and a place of strong relationships that brings us healing, but also now we are then a part of that healing in other people's life. And that is such a crucial next step that we just simply never get to if we are a person who sees going to church or a recovery group as something that's just for me. Again, that's the selfishness. And we start there, right? You have to start there to say, this is just for me. And I'll just conclude with this and saying, if you want that and if you need that, you are only going to self-sabotage yourself with inconsistent attendance. Basically, if you only go once a month, you go sporadically, then yeah, at the end of that experience, you can say, well, that wasn't very good. I didn't get much out of that. I didn't grow from that. Well, it's because you didn't give it the chance. It's because you didn't give it the consistency to be there. When you only go part of the time, you're only putting part of the puzzle together. That would only work if these group experiences or church were like a concert that you go to simply to watch a show, have an experience, get filled up, and move on. And in the first century, yeah, they would have met every day for church. They met together daily. In the Jewish community, they had daily prayers. They were in the synagogue regularly. That's not our culture anymore, which is unfortunate. We at minimum need to be seeing each other weekly, and then figure out these ways of seeing each other beyond that in group settings throughout the week. So that's it. I hope that's an encouragement for some of you. I hope that it challenges some of you. If some of you are that sporadic attender, do what you need to do to develop accountability in your life to make this a priority. And last, I'll say this: if you're a parent with kids, if you model inconsistency in your church attendance and your church participation, which is a reflection of your discipleship, it's a reflection of your spiritual formation, as your kids go into adulthood, what's there for them is the church. That's the sustainable framework for them to, yes, are there other ways of experiencing spiritual formation outside the church? Absolutely. But the baseline, sustainable piece that is there that keeps you connected on a sustainable level to all the other things, it's the church. And it's Sunday morning church. It's weekly church. It's not perfect. It is part of the picture, not the full picture, but it is absolutely essential. And so model that to your kids. Model it to yourself. Make a goal that says, I'm going to go every Sunday for the next 3 months, and then just see what happens. And then maybe make a judgment call or an assessment on, decisions you want to make about your engagement after that. So that is your 5-minute flip for July 1st, 2025. Thanks for listening. I will see you next time on the flip side.
Thanks for listening to this 5-minute flip. Subscribe for more flips and long-form episodes of The Flip Side. Visit www.patreon.com/NoahFilipiak to support and get sweet Flipside swag.